And that's the way it should be to protect the most vulnerable New Zealanders.
Question number 3, Jami-Lee Ross.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, as part of its wider economic programme, what progress is the government making in dealing with the most challenging social issues facing New Zealand families and children?
Honourable Bill English.
The government is making good progress, and much of this is as a result of the Better Public Services results targets the Prime Minister set in place a couple of years ago. By honing public services on specific and measurable objectives such as higher educational achievement, better health care, less crime and less long-term welfare dependency, we're starting to make significant gains on those things which are a feature of long-term deprivation. For example, as at the end of 2013, 91% of babies were fully immunised by 8 months of age. We're on track to achieve 95% by the end of this year, much higher immunisation rates than at any time in the last 30 years. We're finding that what's good for communities is good for the government's books, so we're willing to spend where we can get a payoff and better results.
Supplementary question, Jami-Lee Ross.
What specific measures did the government take in Budget 2014 to help New Zealand's children and families?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, as New Zealand is one of a handful of developed countries heading into budget surpluses, we believe it's important that all New Zealanders can benefit from a stronger economy and better government's books. In Budget 2014, we provided 5 elements of a $500 million package, $171 million to boost paid parental leave by 4 weeks to 18 weeks, $42 million to increase the parental tax credit from $150 a week to $220 a week, an increase entitlement from 8 to 10 weeks, $90 million to provide free doctor's visits and free prescriptions for children aged under 13, $155 million to help early childhood centres remain accessible and affordable, and $33 million targeted on doing a better job for our most vulnerable children. So although our spending is constrained, it is well targeted where we can get results.
Supplementary question, Jami-Lee Ross.
What other measures has the government taken to support the most vulnerable New Zealanders, particularly those on low incomes facing challenging social issues?
Well, Mr Speaker,
Honourable Bill English.
Despite the fact that we've had significant deficits, the government has made a priority of supporting the most vulnerable. The budget last year, for instance, included $100 million to extend the home insulation program, $20 million for rheumatic fever prevention, $35 million for grandparents raising grandchildren, microfinancing options for those on low incomes, progressing a warrant of fitness for all state houses to ensure they meet basic requirements. In addition, the government is working with other providers to provide free healthy lunches in schools who choose to take part in the program. Mr Speaker, this is a range of measures designed particularly to help those who suffer from persistent deprivation.
Supplementary question, Jami-Lee Ross.
What were some of the main social challenges inherited by this government in 2008?
Honourable Bill
Mr Speaker,
English.
These were set out comprehensively in the Salvation Army's State of the Nation report in February 2008. It talked about the rising number of referrals for abused children and increased numbers under SIF's care. It talked about rising youth offending, climbing teenage pregnancy rates, continued educational inequality, and it talked about climbing prison numbers. And this was all through a period where the economy was growing significantly. All up, the Salvation Army said that significant extra government spending under the previous Labor government contributed little to social progress. Since then, we've been spending less and making a lot more progress.
Question number 4, Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does Budget 2014